Hi, welcome to another video. I am going to try PopOS on this laptop. I've not tried this before, I don't think. And if it boots up successfully, we can try installing it. I think it's meant to be a lightweight Linux distribution. And this laptop benefits from light distributions because it's only got 2 GB of RAM and it's got a dual core processor. It's also got a 31 GB eMMC, so there's not a lot of room on there for large operating systems like Windows 10 and Windows 11. And that's partly why I'm trying all these different operating systems, because this laptop used to have Windows 10 on, but it had filled its drive up, so it couldn't really do anything. So yeah, it's also quite a low power laptop. You can see how much power it's using over here. It's using about 7.8 watts at the moment, up to 8 watts. The battery in here isn't working. And yeah, let's just see how quickly this boots up and what the operating system is like when we get to the desktop. If you can find the right operating system for your laptop, then it helps you carry on using the internet and other things. So this is one of the reasons why I'm trying different operating systems on here. See if we can find the right operating system for this system that performs well, can be updated, and lets us go on the internet securely. So we're still waiting for this to boot up. Hopefully it's still booting. Sometimes when you're booting into Linux, if there's any kind of driver issue with the graphics, then you might get to a certain point like this, and then the desktop won't show because it's not working. So we've got a mouse though. So the system is still alive. Just wondering if we're missing the desktop or if it's still loading. So we'll wait a little bit longer and see what happens. Oh, okay. We're getting something. The screen has disappeared. We've still got a mouse. So hopefully the desktop is loading. And here we are. We've got a desktop. Yay. So let's just wait for that to sort of sort itself out. We can open the terminal and have a look what's happening. Normally with these live boot images, you get a welcome screen or something that encourages you to install the operating system. But it looks like that is crashing for us. So CPU usage around 8%. Memory free about 100 megabytes. And it looks like we have a swap, maybe. You tell me. Is that what this means here? It looks like a nice operating system. I quite like that we've got a shop, we've got install, we've got settings, we've got Firefox down here, we've got files, and we've got show applications. And that pops up really quickly. We've got workspaces, and then we've got launcher, which is interesting. So workspaces up here, applications, and then over here we've got the volume and battery information, And I'm guessing this is networking, so let me check that. So this is about tiling windows, floating windows, exceptions, shortcuts, and various other settings, so we can adjust things. But let's see if we can get onto the network, onto Wi-Fi, onto the internet, and see if that works before having a look at installing this. So I've gone into settings, and the first thing that came up was the network connection. So I've been able to connect to Wi-Fi. And now let's try a web browser and see what happens. Does seem a little bit slow, and that could be because we're running it from the USB drive. Perhaps once it's installed, it's going to be quicker. But we'll just check we can get to a web page and make sure that works. So let's just go to the BBC because it's one of the shortcuts. Yep, that's working. So I'm going to go through the process of installing this on this laptop if the installer works. So it took quite a long time for this installer to come up, but we have got it to get here to load. So we can try installing PopOS onto this laptop. So I do want a clean install so that we wipe the drive and get a completely fresh install on the eMMC, which is this one. So we've put in a password. Do we want to encrypt the drive? Don't encrypt. And hopefully this will install. It's 7:08 at the moment. 10 minutes have passed now, and I think we're getting near to the end of the install. It's on 70% of configuring the system, so we'll see how it goes from here. Another 10 minutes have passed, and we're on the finishing the installation bit of this, and it says 0%. Don't know what this does if I click this. Looks like nothing. Just leave this running and see how far we get. Okay, so time to restart the device. Okay, so we're restarting, and hopefully we're going to reboot into the operating system installed onto the laptop. Okay, so let's log on. This is real time. This is not me doing anything. I'm not speeding it up or slowing it down. This is just as it is. This is how long it's taking to get from me putting the password in to go to the desktop. Okay, so got a dock. We've got some options to customize the desktop. That's fine. We've got a notification that system updates are available. We need to click next up here. Click next again. Oh, should we go for light? All done. Let's start using it. So let's have a look at top. Looks like we've got a decent amount of memory free. Sudo apt install htop. We might need to make sure we're connected to the internet. I've connected to the Wi-Fi. I've been able to install htop, and here we have htop running. So we've got this swap file here and the memory usage here. So hopefully this system will perform reasonably well and we shouldn't run out of memory. But it is still a slow laptop. It does only have 2 GB of RAM and it does only have a dual core processor. So let's see if I can bring up NeoFetch if it's there. No. So let's put that on here. Then we can have a look at the system in case you're not familiar with this laptop from my other videos. And if you want to see a certain version of Linux or a different operating system on this laptop, let me know in the comments. But also have a look through previous videos. You may find that I've already done it. It's doing quite a lot of updates. And we should be able to use NeoFetch. And here we are with PopOS This is the Intel Celeron N3060. This is the memory. It's a dual-core processor. And PopOS is 22.04, running kernel 6.9.3. Desktop environment GNOME 42.9. Let's just click this and get these updates out of the way if it still needs them. Okay, so we've got this up here, updates and installed software. And there are 68 components, operating system components to update. So we can update that at some point, but let's just have a quick look at YouTube and see how it performs. So let's check what settings it's on. It's on 360. Let's try 720. Let's see if we can get to full screen before it plays or in time for doing something like this. Seems to play back okay actually. Let's try a different website. Let's try WebGL Aquarium. It seemed to load quite quickly, and we're getting about 23 frames per second. I think the fastest we've had with WebGL Aquarium is with Chrome OS. We were getting about 60 frames per second, and you can see that in one of the other videos. But that definitely works. Let's have a look at Futo Wikipedia because it's a very long page, and we did get some crashing. Or is it just wiki? That's what I want, isn't it? Yeah, this is the one. Waiting for this to load. Okay. And then maybe if I click here, and that's right at the bottom, we got to the bottom. But it seems to be coping okay with this while it still loads the images in on this page. And does it tell us anything about these tabs, how much memory it's using? I don't think so. That could be quite useful to know. But let's have a look at each tab. we've got Firefox using most of the memory, as you would kind of expect. We can load the system monitor and have a look at a sort of graphical version. This is running quite smoothly actually. It looks okay. You can have things on the actual sides of the window. We can go to another workspace. And can we drag this to the other workspace? That's quite cool. Seems like quite a sort of nice operating system to use that is quite intuitive. I wasn't really expecting it to do this for me. And I didn't really expect to be able to just drag what I wanted to a different workspace. So let's do that. And where did it go? System monitor, terminal. So we've got these different workspaces that just work quite nicely. It's quite responsive. And all seems to be working quite nicely. So should we see how many tabs we can open in Firefox before things start slowing down? So I'll just keep opening different articles in different tabs. And then we'll have a look at the different tabs and see how it's going. And this is just Firefox. I'm not using any specific light web browser. I'm not using any advert blocking or anything like that. So we could be choosing a different web browser and perhaps getting a quicker bit of performance. But this seems to be going okay so far. We've got about 11 tabs open at the moment. And we can have a look at the system monitor. We've got 100% CPU usage. We've nearly used all of the built-in RAM, and it's using the swap file as well, and this is the sort of network traffic here. But yeah, this is working way better than I expected, considering how many tabs are open. So why don't we keep going a little bit, add some more Wikipedia tabs, and see how that goes. Guess it's struggling a little bit while it loads these, but it is still working. think once it's actually finished loading, it'll be much quicker to go through these different pages. Quite impressed by this actually. Ooh, this is the file browser. Do you think we'll be able to see the Windows network? No. I mean, that's fairly normal, I suppose, but we do have an option to connect to a server here. So should we have a look at the disk config? So we should be able to find some kind of disk tool here, just disks, I guess. And we've got a swap file. And let's have a look. So this is the main eMMC drive in the system because it's 31 gigabytes, and we've got 1.1 gigabytes as FAT, partition 1. We've got 4.3 gigabytes as recovery. We've got the actual file system with 22 gigabytes there. We've got a 4.3 gigabyte swap file, and then 2.1 megabytes free space at the beginning and end. So the usable space, I guess, is quite small because of the swap partition and then a recovery partition, as well as this boot EFI partition. So we've got the swap partition of 4.3 gigabytes, but then if we have a look at System Monitor, we've actually got 6.3 gigabytes of swap file. So I suspect that's because it's compressed. So you actually get more than just the 4.3 gigabytes. So that's good. And yeah, this is Pop on this little laptop. The color kind of matches the laptop, so that's nice. Right click, you get a nice looking menu system. You can change the background. I think it struggles a little bit. If this had 4 gigabytes of RAM, it would be quicker and run a little bit better, but I think this will be quite a nice system to use. Definitely give PopOS a go if you're looking for a user-friendly Linux operating system. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. What do you use? What's on your laptop and what are the specs? And see you in another video.